Welcome to another episode of My Weird Prompts, an AI-generated podcast featuring the random prompts of Daniel Rosehill as answered by a revolving cast of friendly AI characters. Join us for deep dives into AI, technology, and whatever other random thing Daniel finds fascinating today. Subscribe on Spotify or your favorite podcatcher. Now, today's episode.
My Weird Prompts is an AI-generated podcast produced by Daniel Rosehill, a verified human with documentation to prove it. While every effort is made to ensure our AI hosts draw from credible sources and run on cutting-edge models, they do occasionally make things up with alarming confidence. As with everything in life, and especially this podcast, treat all claims as spurious until confirmed to be not. Daniel, Herman and Korn accept no responsibility for any decisions made based on the confident ramblings of our artificial presenters. Now, today's episode.
Hey, Herman and Korn, my two favorite virtual podcast hosts in the entire world. As both you guys know, sitting on the other side of my office on the little ledge there, about this time last year, I switched from using the keyboard, as one does traditionally, to discovering the wonderful world of speech-to-text transcription, thanks to OpenAI Whisper, which is a superb and very accurate model. And it was really kind of quite a change for me, and really has changed in a good way, and I think potentially could be in an even better way if I just found better ways to use it. The way that I work every day, it's now kind of my natural instinct to dictate something, to use the microphone as my main conduit for capturing information, whether it's writing out a blog or jotting down some thoughts or even a grocery list. And I use a combination of apps to do that. I use one called Voice Notes, voicenotes.com. That's probably my kind of go-to for, because it's available on different devices. It's a cloud app. And sometimes, like me recording this episode here, I'm just speaking into Audacity. Anyway, when I sort of made the transition from keyboard typing, I wanted to kind of just not jump in so quickly and see if I would actually stick with it. But once I did, I began thinking about what would be the best and most convenient hardware to use for capturing my speech. So if I'm going to be doing this like whenever I'm working from home, which is several days a week, then do I want to have like just a microphone sitting on my desk? Do I want to buy a headset? And what about when I'm out of the house? Because frequently that's when I find it's actually most useful. There's something about just walking and changing scenery that I naturally kind of provokes new thinking. And that's often the context in which I want to gather these notes. So I had a YouTube channel, still have it, haven't uploaded in a while, but because of that I had quite a decent selection of microphones already purchased. I had, for example, a lavalier microphone. I had a desk microphone like a Samsung Q2U. I had a gooseneck microphone. And then in terms of headsets, I had a wired over the head microphone. And I even had one of those kind of old school, I call them taxi driver microphones, the Bluetooth earpieces that I think have kind of fallen out of vogue since earbuds became the cool new accessory. But maybe when I was growing up, those were like kind of a slightly goofy accessory that you'd see. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, that you'd see a lot of taxi drivers and kind of overachieving business types wearing. So when I was, my main question really is, in terms of getting the best accuracy, I've sort of come to understand over time that getting the success of voice dictation depends really upon a few factors. One of them is how clearly you enunciate. The second is background noise and how good your noise environment is. And the third is that technical factor regarding the microphone. So what I kind of got from asking this prompt probably a year ago was that the gold standard is to get a microphone close to your mouth physically. So for example, the Samsung Q2U that I'm recording this into, I got one of those kind of across the desk. It's a low profile microphone stand by Ulanzi, just to try clean up the clutter, which is what I'm going to ask you about really. That's the kind of goal here, is I'm trying to keep a tidy workstation, and it doesn't really get close enough, so you have to lean into it, which isn't very useful. The previous microphone in my attempt at this it was actually called a boundary mic, which wasn't a term I'd come across before. It looked to me just like a conference microphone. So a wired conference mic. And I prefer wired because if it's going to be sitting there at your desk the whole day and you might be dictating for many hours per day, you don't want to have to worry about, keeping it charged and whatever. So I wanted to go for a wired accessory if it was going to be something not on my face. So that one I didn't feel like I was getting very good performance or very good capture and very good sound level. And really what I'm looking for, I guess, is something that is kind of forgiving for off-axis pickup, that I might not be speaking directly or perfectly to the microphone because I'm just, at my desk. I can lean back a little bit in my chair. I don't need to worry about being very proximate to the microphone to get a good and clear level. That's kind of what I would like, and I'd like that because I don't really want to have to wear a headset all day. I got a nice over the head headset, a USB wired headset, and I think probably that's the best accuracy that I've gotten because the microphone's right up, to your mouth. But it gets very uncomfortable after a while, and I just prefer the idea of something that's on my desk. So those are the options I've explored. I haven't really tried a wired lavalier microphone work because one thing I don't like about those is they tether you to your desk if they're wired. And I know there's a couple of specialty products from companies like Philips, specifically for dictation, which I would actually be very open to investing in and purchasing, as this has been so useful. I'm just not sure would these be better than something. Maybe a gooseneck is the best option for what I'm looking to do. So those are my questions regarding the desk. Now, second question regarding dictating and voice capture when you're out and about. So let's say that I'm going through a market and there's a lot of people, there's noise in the background. There's people, there might be music, there might be other conversations. So in that case, what I want is a Bluetooth microphone that's going to work with Android, and I can record my voice notes, and it's going to probably do the background noise rejection a little bit and voice pickup as well as possible. My philosophy and what I've seen is that it's always better to try, or frequently better to try do this on device than hope that your app supports these features, although sometimes you will find apps that do. But for example, the voice notes app I use doesn't have background noise rejection as a setting, or even Bluetooth controls. So my best hope here is to do it at the onboard level. I picked up a Poly 5200, reading that this was kind of like the best in class for what I was looking to do. And I have to say I feel a bit guilty for having purchased, I think it was little bit expensive because I haven't really used it that much. It's just not that comfortable. And what I've actually ended up doing when I'm recording voice notes is just holding the phone up to my mouth physically, which it's fine. It just kind of looks goofy. So what I've thought about here is something like a Bluetooth microphone, maybe that goes around your neck, like maybe even looks like a necklace or a pendant, as I'm a guy. That might be, I thought, maybe a potentially viable design, or I'm not sure really, just kind of something that, what would you recommend is the best performance? Maybe there are earbuds that actually are engineered less for audio playback and more for, or the microphone isn't just an afterthought. So those are all my questions regarding hardware with voice dictation across various contexts. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the different dictation scenarios I've mentioned, what the professionals use in terms of the people who really use dictation day in, day out, because I know such people exist, and I think they're kind of the people to kind of ask, well, what do they invest in for this kind of task, and what hardware would you recommend that's kind of forgiving and gets a very, very good audio sample from your voice.
Welcome back to My Weird Prompts, the show where we dive deep into the fascinating questions that Daniel Rosehill sends our way. I'm Korn, and I'm absolutely buzzing today because this week, Daniel's asked us to dig into something that impacts so many of us, especially in this age of AI and remote work, the world of speech-to-text transcription, and, specifically, the hardware that makes it sing.
And Korn, what Daniel's prompt really highlights is a fundamental truth often overlooked.
The quality of your input is paramount. We're talking about technology that can fundamentally change how we interact with our devices, improve accessibility, and boost productivity. But, as Daniel discovered, not all microphones are created equal when it comes to capturing the nuances of human speech for AI processing. The stakes are high when you consider that a poorly optimized setup can turn a productivity booster into a frustrating exercise in error correction.
That's such a great point, Herman. I mean, we've all probably tried speech-to-text on our phones or computers and thought, oh, this is amazing. And then 5 minutes later, you're wrestling with baffling autocorrect errors because the AI just couldn't quite catch what you said. Daniel's prompt really resonated with me because he's on a journey from traditional keyboard typing to full-on dictation, using tools like OpenAI Whisper, which is truly cutting edge. But he's hitting a wall on the physical hardware side. What's the best microphone to use, whether you're at your desk or out and about, to get the most accurate transcription? He's looking for that sweet spot where technology truly enhances rather than complicates.
Precisely. Daniel's journey is a microcosm of a larger trend. As AI models for speech-to-text, like Whisper, become incredibly sophisticated, the bottleneck often shifts from the software's capability to the quality of the audio input. Think of it like a high-fidelity audio system. You can have the most advanced amplifier and speakers, but if your source material is low resolution, your output will suffer. For speech recognition, the source material is your voice, and the capture device is your microphone. Daniel wants to know how to optimize that capture in various real-world scenarios, seeking that professional-grade accuracy and convenience.
So it's not just about dictating, it's about dictating well. Daniel mentioned 3 key factors for dictation success: clear enunciation, which is on us folks, background noise, and the technical aspects of the microphone itself. And that's where we're going to focus today. We'll explore his specific challenges and dive into what kind of microphone hardware is best suited for different dictation environments, both at your workstation and when you're out on the move. He's wondering if a high-end gooseneck is the answer, or perhaps some specialized dictation gear. Let's start with the desk setup, Herman. Daniel says he's currently using a Samsung Q2U, which is a popular dynamic USB microphone, on a low...
That's a very common experience with many desk microphones, even good quality ones like the Q2U. The issue often lies in what we call the polar pattern of the microphone, which describes how sensitive it is to sounds coming from different directions. The Q2U is typically a cardioid microphone, meaning it's most sensitive to sound directly in front of it and significantly less sensitive to sounds from the sides or rear. This is great for rejecting background noise in a fixed position, but it demands consistent, on-axis speaking. If you lean back or move your head, you quickly fall out of that sweet spot, leading to reduced clarity and potentially more transcription error.
So it's like trying to talk directly into a very small funnel, and if you move your mouth away, the sound just isn't as strong. Daniel also mentioned previously trying what he called a boundary mic, which he identified as looking like a conference microphone. He found the performance wasn't great. What exactly is a boundary mic, and why might it not have worked well for his dictation needs?
A boundary microphone, often called a PZM pressure zone microphone, is designed to capture sound across a wider area, typically by sitting on a flat surface like a conference table. They leverage the boundary effect to eliminate phase interference that occurs when sound waves reflect off a surface. While excellent for capturing multiple voices in a meeting room, their wide pickup pattern makes them highly susceptible to ambient room noise, keyboard clicks, air conditioning, distant conversations, anything within that large capture zone. For a single speaker dictating, particularly with AI that relies on isolating a clear voice, a boundary mic would incorporate too much unwanted environmental sound, degrading the
That makes so much sense. You want to isolate your voice, not capture the entire soundscape of your home office. Daniel also explored a USB wired over-the-head headset. He said it gave him the best accuracy because the microphone was right up to his mouth, but it was very uncomfortable after a while. I totally get that. Wearing a headset all day can really start to pinch.
And this highlights a critical trade-off Daniel is facing: maximal accuracy versus comfort and convenience. A microphone positioned consistently close to your mouth, like on a headset, minimizes the distance between the sound source and the microphone capsule. This dramatically increases the signal-to-noise ratio, meaning your voice is much louder relative to any ambient room noise, which is ideal for dictation. AI.
However, wearing a headset for hours can cause fatigue, pressure points, and even heat buildup. For professionals who dictate extensively, say in medical or legal fields, specialized dictation headsets from companies like Andrea Electronics or Sennheiser are often chosen. They're designed.
So, they're like the Cadillac version of a call center headset? Daniel also wondered about specialized dictation products from companies like Philips and whether they'd be better than, say, a good gooseneck mic. And he asked what professionals use. Can you shed some light on those options?
Absolutely. Philips and Olympus, for instance, have long histories in professional dictation, offering dedicated devices and microphones. Their products are often optimized not just for voice capture, but also for integration with specialized dictation software, sometimes even incorporating physical controls for recording, pausing, and editing. Many of their desktop microphones are indeed high-quality gooseneck designs. A gooseneck microphone offers that close proximity advantage without the discomfort of a headset. The flexibility of the gooseneck allows you to position the microphone optimally, close to your mouth, while still being able to lean back slightly without completely losing the optimal pickup. Brands like Blue Yeti or Rode NT USB Mini are popular options, though they're more general purpose.
So, a gooseneck could be that forgiving off-axis pickup Daniel is looking for, without tethering him too much or hurting his head. It's about finding that balance. What about his concern with wired versus wireless for a desk setup? He preferred wired to avoid worrying about charging.
For a stationary desk setup, wired connections are almost always preferable for dictation for several reasons. Firstly, you eliminate battery concerns entirely. Secondly, wired connections typically offer lower latency, the delay between speaking and the sound being processed, which isn't usually an issue for dictation, but is often cited for quality. More importantly, they avoid potential interference or signal dropouts that can occur with wireless connections, especially in busy office or home environments with many competing Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signals. For pure, uninterrupted accuracy and reliability, wired is the gold standard when you don't need mobility. Daniel's instinct there is spot on for a desk setup.
Okay, so that covers the desk scenario pretty well. It sounds like a high-quality gooseneck or a specialized wired dictation mic is probably the way to go for Daniel there. But then he brings up a whole other challenge, dictating when you're out and about. He describes being in a market with lots of background noise, music, other conversations. He wants a Bluetooth microphone that works with Android, can record voice notes, and specifically does on-device, background noise rejection, and voice pickup as well as possible. He bought a Poly 5200, thinking it was best in class, but found it uncomfortable and ended up just holding his phone up to his mouth, which he admits looks a bit goofy. What's the best approach for mobile dictation in noisy environments?
This is where the challenge significantly escalates. Mobile dictation in dynamic, noisy environments is arguably the holy grail for speech-to-text, and it's an area of intense research and development. The core issue is separating the desired voice signal from a cacophony of unwanted sounds, what we call ambient noise, competing speech, wind noise, etc. Daniel's instinct about on-device processing is absolutely correct. Relying solely on software algorithms within an app to clean up a noisy audio stream after it's been captured by a suboptimal microphone is always going to be a compromise. The best approach is to capture the cleanest possible signal at the source.
So, the microphone needs to be smart about what it hears before it even sends the audio to the phone?
Exactly. This is where advanced microphone arrays and digital signal processing DSP built directly into the microphone hardware become crucial. The Poly 52200 Daniel mentioned, for example, is a very capable mono Bluetooth headset designed for calls and communication, not primarily dictation. While it has some noise cancellation for the listener on the other end of a call, its primary focus isn't ultra-high fidelity voice capture for AI transcription in extremely noisy open environments. Its comfort issues, as Daniel noted, are a common trade-off with these compact earpiece designs.
So his goofy solution of holding his phone up actually makes a lot of sense, because he's physically creating a closer proximity and potentially shielding some background noise with his hand. But obviously, that's not a sustainable or elegant solution. Daniel then suggested something like a Bluetooth microphone that goes around your neck, maybe even looking like a necklace or a pendant. Is that a viable design for high-quality dictation?
That's a very intriguing concept, and it speaks to the need for discreet, comfortable, and effective mobile solutions. Neck-worn devices are emerging in various forms, and a well-engineered one could offer a good balance. The proximity to the voice, while not as direct as a boom mic on a headset, is still much better than a phone in your pocket. The key would be the integration of multiple microphones, an array along the neckband. These arrays use sophisticated algorithms to create a beam of sensitivity pointed towards the speaker's mouth, actively suppressing sounds coming from other directions. This technology, called beamforming, is what allows devices to pick out your voice in a crowded room. Furthermore, specialized accelerometers can detect bone conduction of speech.
Wow, so it's not just about one microphone, but an entire array working together like a tiny voice-seeking missile. That's really clever. He also wondered about earbuds that are actually built and engineered less for audio playback and more for dictation, where the microphone isn't just an afterthought. Are there such things?
This is another promising avenue. Most consumer earbuds, even high-end ones, prioritize audio playback and then add a basic microphone for calls. However, some newer professional-grade earbuds are indeed focusing more on the microphone component. Think about hearing aids with advanced environmental processing or specialized communication earbuds used in demanding environments. These devices will incorporate multiple external microphones for noise cancellation and beamforming, similar to the neckband concept, but miniaturized. They might also include inward-facing microphones to pick up your voice from inside the ear canal, leveraging the occlusion effect to capture a purer vocal signal and reject external.
So, for out and about dictation, the pros would be looking for advanced noise cancellation and voice isolation, ideally happening right on the device. It seems like a neckband with beamforming or specialized earbuds with multiple mics would be strong contenders. Daniel also mentioned his Voice Notes app doesn't have background noise rejection settings, which pushes him towards on-device solutions.
And that's the ideal. While software can certainly clean up audio after the fact, it's always working with a degraded signal. On-device processing performed at the hardware level means the AI receives a much cleaner, higher fidelity vocal input. This is particularly important for speech-to-text, where nuanced phonemes and subtle speech patterns need to be accurately captured. The less the AI has to guess or infer due to noise, the more accurate the transcription will be. This is why professionals in high-stakes environments, such as journalists in the field or medical professionals needing immediate transcription, would invest in devices with dedicated hardware-based noise cancellation and voice pickup. They might use specialized Bluetooth lavalier.
This has been incredibly insightful, Herman. It's clear that microphone selection for speech-to-text is far more nuanced than just grabbing any mic. So, let's bring it all together for Daniel and our listeners. What are the key practical takeaways when choosing dictation hardware for these different scenarios?
For dictation, remember this mantra: proximity, pattern, and processing. For your desk-based dictation, if comfort is a priority over a headset, prioritize a high-quality wired gooseneck microphone. Look for one with a cardioid polar pattern and ensure it can be positioned consistently close to your mouth, about 6 to 8 inches away. Brands like Rode, Blue, or even dedicated dictation models from Philips or Olympus would be excellent starting points. Wired is generally best for reliability and avoiding battery concerns.
So, essentially, get that mic close to your mouth, even if it's not strapped to your head, and choose a wired connection for consistent power and signal quality. What about the out and about scenario, where noise is a major factor?
For mobile dictation in noisy environments, prioritize devices with advanced on-device noise cancellation and voice isolation technology. Look for features like multi-microphone arrays, beamforming, and potentially even bone conduction sensors. A good quality Bluetooth lavalier microphone, which clips discreetly to your clothing close to your mouth, can be very effective. Alternatively, keep an eye on emerging specialized earbuds designed with dictation in mind, or consider a high-quality portable digital voice recorder that boasts robust noise filtering features. The goal is to capture your voice as cleanly as possible before it gets to the transcription software. Don't rely on your phone's built-in.
It's all about creating the best possible audio signal at the source, giving the AI the cleanest possible input to work with. And Daniel's right. The app often can't fix what the microphone didn't capture well in the first place.
Absolutely. The future of speech-to-text will undoubtedly see even more sophisticated on-device AI integration, allowing microphones to adapt their pickup patterns and noise cancellation dynamically based on the environment. We might also see personalized AI models that are trained specifically on an individual's voice, making them even more forgiving of less than perfect audio. But until then, careful hardware selection remains paramount.
What a journey into the world of dictation hardware. It's clear that as AI gets smarter, our physical tools need to keep pace. Thank you, Daniel, for sending us such a thought-provoking and practical prompt. It's truly fascinating to see how these technologies intersect.
Indeed. Daniel's questions highlight that even with incredible AI, the human interface and the physical world still present compelling challenges. Understanding these nuances is key to truly leveraging the power of speech to text.
And that's all the time we have for this episode of My Weird Prompts. We hope this deep dive into microphones and dictation hardware has given you some valuable insights for your own speech-to-text adventures. Remember, you can find My Weird Prompts on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep prompting, keep exploring, and keep those microphones humming.
Only curious.
Thanks for listening to another episode of My Weird Prompts, an AI-generated podcast featuring Daniel Rosehill's AI prompts as answered by a revolving cast of friendly AI characters including me, Cornelius the Sloth. Subscribe on Spotify or visit myweirdprompts.com.